What's up, guys? I'm here with the 2014 IPF World Champion, meaning the best lifter in his weight class in his federation of the 163 pound, aka 74 kilogram weight class, Josh Hancott. He is 21 years old. At 163 pounds, he's already totaling 1520 in meets.
Yep.
That's better than a lot of weightlifters in my class. And at a local level, that's better than a lot of 200-pound weightlifters. Like, that's insane. So Josh, what are some of your best lifts ever? Just bullet point.
My best squat in the gym is 575 pounds. My best in a meet is 260 kilos, 573 pounds. And that's the open IPF world record now.
Wow, so not even just junior.
Yeah, open.
Wow.
And then bench press, my best bench pause in the gym, 390 pounds. And in a meet, my best is 171.5 kilos, which is 378 pounds. And that is, it exceeded the junior IPF world record in the bench, but someone recently broke it and bumped it to 385.
Wow.
And then in deadlift, my best deadlift in the gym is 630 pounds, and my best in the meet is 597 pounds, or 271 kilos.
That's insane. 160 pounds, pretty much. And you're squatting close to 600 pounds. You're benching almost 400 pounds, and your deadlift is 630 pounds.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. How old were you? 21 now.
I'm 21.
How old were you when you began lifting?
I was 16 years old when I started lifting weights. Started powerlifting at age 17, 18 years old.
What were your lifts when you first began?
When I first began, it was like really light, like I can't even pinpoint exactly.
Yeah.
But when I first started competing, I was really good at bench. I was always a naturally good bencher, which is weird because I have really long arms.
And you're for those who don't know, he's 5'9".
5'9", 163 pounds. Most people I compete against are about 5'3" to 5'5".
Yeah, you don't have the stereotypical look of a 163 pound powerhouse.
Yeah, that's right.
You wouldn't expect that.
A big lanky guy.
I will say, you guys don't. It doesn't do you justice on camera. In person, you're jacked. He has solid ass traps. He has a collar shirt on right now, but solid shoulders, arms, everything. Like, you look legitimately jacked in person.
Thank you.
So that's. It's not super surprising to see how much weight you put up when you actually get to see your physique in person.
Okay.
But it's still amazing that you can put that much weight up at your body weight, especially being natural.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to bench, let's say 315, the classic 3 plates?
3 plates. I was benching 3 plates at about 145 pounds in high school.
Wow.
So I started, I told this to Nick, when I was at the beginning of grade 12, senior year, I guess you guys call it here.
Yeah.
Senior year, I was, 145 pounds, basically stayed the same weight throughout that whole year. My bench press at the beginning of the year was 255 pounds touch and go, and I graduated with the touch and go, like gym sloppy lift, like butt might have raised a little bit, 335 pounds. Man. So I was really good at bench, and the other 2 lifts, ironically, weren't there really. Until I got into powerlifting, paid more attention to it, and then they came up over time. Over the period of 5 years. I've been competing since 2011.
Okay.
And I've done 10 competitions. I think 7 of those were on a national stage or higher.
Wow. So only out of all 10 shows, only 3 of them were local. You did 3 local shows, and then right from there you moved on to nationals and then up to worlds, and it's all been nationals and up.
My third meet was the Arnold Classic, so
that's insane.
Yeah.
That's a 1520, man. And just to give you guys reference, a lot of people on my channel know that Johnny Candido, whom you're actually good friends with.
Yeah.
Johnny Candido, he got me into powerlifting. He's a good lifter at my weight class, 183 pounds.
Yep.
And at 183, 20 pounds heavier than you, his total's only about 30 pounds more than yours or so.
Yeah, in South Africa when we competed in 2014, he totaled 1 kilo more than me, so 2.2 pounds.
Wow.
And then at the Arnold Classic, which we both competed at again, I totaled 690 kilos. He did 692 and a half. So we've been separated by like 5 pounds. And then at the IPF Worlds this year, like, I was dealing with an injury and I ended up bombing out. And Candido put his up to 705, that's in my opinion very good. Over 700 at 83 is huge.
For sure, and that's all in kilograms. Now, speaking of the injury that you have, so 2014 Worlds was amazing. You broke down crying at the end of your deadlift. You could see all the emotion. Ronnie Coleman did that when he won his Olympia, actually. That's what it reminded me of. That was amazing to watch. You could see it. You had just won gold. You could tell because they have computers in the back screen so you could see where you're placing. You had just set the deadlift world record with your opener deadlift, right? Or second attempt?
No, I won the world title with my opener.
That's what it was, yep.
Second attempt, I called for, I think it was 578 pounds. That was to break the world record total on my second attempt.
That's right, totally, yep.
Did that, and then for the third attempt, really, I didn't need to do anything. I could have just said I won, and I broke the world record total.
So
I could have stopped.
Third attempt was just extra credit.
Third, I was like, all right, let's call for the world record deadlift, which at the time was 596 pounds, so I broke it by a pound. So on that last pull, I went 3 for 3 in the deadlifts. Pulled basically my max. The most I ever did in training was 600, so 3 pounds less, which is, I came out, pulled that, so won the world title on my last pull. I exceeded the world record deadlift and re-bumped up the total all in that one lift, and it's something I visualized in my head, thousands of times. So when it became a reality, it was just, I didn't know how to deal with it, and I just broke down crying.
So 2015 comes around, and you're obviously shooting to win. Throughout training, you get this lower back injury. Yep. What happened there?
I have my own theory on it. I think what happened was, basically I had 3 big meets right in a row. I did the Arnold, 29 days later, 30 days later, I did Nationals, which I had to do to be on Team Canada to represent my country and go to Worlds. And then I only had about 1 week to rest before I had 8-week peak for the World Championships, which is obviously
the biggest one,
the priority.
Yeah.
And first day in training of that 8-week peak, my lower back, boom, goes right out. And my theory is that I was doing beltless squats and the bar was whipping on my back when I was standing up, and it must have threw out something in my lower back.
Man.
So it sucked because I was ranked the gold medal favorite by 80 kilos coming out.
Correct me if I'm wrong here. Your total, again, being 1520 at your previous meet, at the Arnold Classic. The next best total, like the second place hopeful for the Worlds, and your weight class was only like 1350, right? In pounds?
It was, yeah. So at 80 kilos, he was 166 pounds behind me, and I went to the event and the injury took over, ended up bombing out and losing the world title.
So let's get into that. To break it down, I remember chatting with you beforehand. You were saying, I'll be a little more conservative. Your lifts obviously wouldn't be what they would be if you were totally healthy, but you figured you could still pull off like a 1400 or so total, which would still be enough to most likely win in your weight class. Because again, we're talking 163 pounds here, guys. That's a lightweight class. You came in, you still managed to bust out a 535 pound squat. Yeah. That now your best squat ever, again, about 575.
But to put that in perspective, the most I squat in training of that 8 weeks of the time I was hurt was 475 pounds, and I came out on the platform and I did basically 50, 60 pounds more than what I handled in training at all.
I remember seeing that. I was watching your videos leading up to it, and you were only using 4 plates or so for most of your workouts.
For singles. I couldn't go
for singles. Than that. And then you ended up opening up with 500, which is pretty good. You pulled out 535, which was surprising considering your injury.
Gold medal squat.
Awesome. And then for bench, your bench was always fine. You managed to pull out just shy of 380, so bench was golden. At this point, we get to deadlifts now. All Josh needed to win, if I remember correctly, was a 470-pound deadlift.
It might have even been less.
So 470 or less, that's all you needed to win the entire thing. And now, if you don't know how powerlifting works, you have a certain amount of time in which you can go. You give your openers at the very beginning of the meet. Then you're allotted a certain amount of time. You can go up to the table if you're warming up and you're like, oh, the weight's not feeling right. You want to change your opener. You can go up to them and you say, hey, I want to change my opener to this or that. You can make it heavier or lighter.
Yeah.
But you only have a certain amount of time to do that.
Yes.
Then a certain amount of time passes, a certain amount of time before you have to go up on your platform, and it's a deadline and you can't change it anymore.
Yeah.
And you said you were warming up and you wanted to...
Yeah, basically what happened was I was one of the last benchers because I had, one of the heaviest attempts to bench. And my deadlift opener was put in at 550 pounds, which I've done before for 5 with no belt. And it was my opener the previous Worlds. So like you're talking a full year of training.
Yeah.
Something I've done 100 times. So I knew I could get it in my head. And I was warming up. I only had basically 15 entire minutes. That's it.
From when bench ended to when you had to go deadlift?
Exactly.
So you had to finish benching your third attempt
and then go walk upstairs, change, warm all the way up to 500 pounds, and then get back downstairs to go out on the platform and deadlift.
That's insane.
So by the time I got to 500 pounds and realized my injury was taking over and it was like a max, it was too late to change anything. Hindsight's obviously 20/20. Clearly, I would have only done the minimum to secure the gold. Looking back, ultimately it was my fault. So,
but I mean, it's hard to remember this because your numbers are astronomical. But being that you're only 21, at least you're young. You have more years to go in the junior.
I have one last year in junior, which is in Texas, 2016.
So. Good to learn these mistakes now, I guess, versus later on, especially in the opens, right?
I'm happy it happened to me because now I'm definitely more motivated than I've ever been in my entire life.
Man, so that must have been devastating, man. You're good. Even with the injury, you're set up for gold. It's yours. Like, you're still in the lead. You're still winning it. And then you go out for your opener. At this point, the injury's just kicked all the way in, and you could not budge your opener.
Couldn't do anything with it.
3 times in a row you failed it, which means you bomb out, which means you're not even in the meet.
Twice. I skipped my second.
You skipped it, okay.
But yeah, I couldn't get it. I could have tried it 150 times and I would have still missed.
What did that feel like? I mean, obviously horrible, but what went through your head specifically?
I just felt so like empty and just like someone just like ripped my soul out. That's just how I felt. Just because I knew as an athlete that I'm used to coming into meets, and one of the things that I think makes me so successful in the sport is my mentality. I feel invincible when I come into a meet. Right. I truly feel when I come into a meet like I'm the best athlete in my division.
Yep.
That's why I think I come out on top. But for this training cycle coming into Worlds, I had so much adversity to deal with, and then finally things seemed like I was going to still come out on top and triumph over the adversity. And then the fact that I couldn't do something that I normally do for, easily, that was the toughest pill to swallow I've ever had to deal with in my entire life.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Man. So obviously, I think the most common question I think you got leading up to this meet, and that anyone would ask knowing the story, is you realized this injury happened at the very beginning of your peak, and it was affecting your weights to the point where you were doing singles with weights you could probably do 20 reps with. Why did you still do the meet? And I'm sorry, and just to add to that, if it were any other meet besides Worlds, besides the biggest meet, would you have done it still?
No, definitely wouldn't have went to any other meet, whether it was the Arnold Classic, anything but Worlds. I would not have went. Period.
Okay.
I showed up for 2 reasons, twofold. One reason is because I was financially invested. Mm-hmm. I had, thousands of dollars spent on hotels and flights.
So you already booked everything.
I'm booked, mm-hmm. And I was genuinely looking forward to the trip, meeting friends,
right,
etc. That's one reason. The second reason is because I felt it was my obligation to show up as the reigning world champion and let someone dethrone me. Because if I were to put myself in their shoes, I would rather give someone that opportunity. I would want to try and take the guy down. That's just the way I am. I would want to try and go against the world champion. not have them not show up, and
Right.
that's just the way I am. So I felt like it was my obligation to show up, and I did, and I'm very happy about that. And you know, I'll learn from what happened to me, and I'll come back way stronger than ever.
I'm excited, man. Having hung out with you all weekend, you have more passion for the sport than most people I've ever met. I mean, you have a true champion's mind state, and you actually have a whole general outlook for the sport too. Like, you're not just about yourself. You're interested in what could better the actual sport, in the IPF especially. That's amazing, man. That's motivating as hell. For those of you that don't know, I think most of you should by now, Josh Hancott is my new powerlifting coach. I actually got to start week 1 of his training program with him in person. So
Yep.
he threw me a bunch of tips on my squat form, my bench technique. It's been amazing. So I'm going to show you guys all those videos to come. But in the meantime, guys, check out Josh Hancott's channel. He's probably one of the only elite powerlifters I can actually think of right now that does regular training videos, but then also does kind of vlog style videos, does day in the lifestyle videos. You know, just this, the way that us YouTubers do it. You're doing that with your channel now.
Yeah.
That's really entertaining to see too. I don't know any other elite powerlifter doing that. So check out Josh Hancott's channel. It's in the info box below. Subscribe to him and enjoy his videos.